graduated this past year in spin up, and I was on team 9-3-6-4A.
I'm Josh. I was on team 2775V in VEX Robotics competition spin up. We made it to the. Never mind. Yeah.
I'm Hank. I was on 9364 until Tower Takeover when I graduated. Now I'm a coach. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is our robot.
It's called Gainz. Gainz. Yeah.
With a Z.
Because it's cooler.
So I guess Drew, you want to start with the base?
Yeah, so originally we were planning on having a 6-motor base, and it's it's pretty standard, just 360 on 3.25. We ended up kind of needing the extra 2 motors later for the lift, so we ended up taking 2 off, so it ended up becoming only a 4-motor base. But honestly, I feel like that kind of ended up being fine because like, we didn't really move around the whole field super often.
Yeah. I mean, when we were in pushing matches, or when they were in pushing matches, you know, like we kind of held our own for the most part. And again, you're not traveling that much in this game.
Yeah.
Though that might have also been because we're a lot heavier than everyone else.
We are a lot. Yeah, we're about 15, 16 pounds.
This is pretty standard. I think that a lot of people in this game are going to do 5-motor drives where you have 2 full motors and then a 5.5 watt motor on a drive. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I would recommend that.
So this is, or Josh, you want to talk about the kicker?
So this
you
is
designed it.
This is the kicker. This is something that I designed. It's really, really complicated and it has like 3 gears on it.
It's actually pretty simple.
You could probably build this in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
All you need to have is your gearbox with your regular gear powering whatever you want to be the intermediate size.
Slip gear.
Your slip gear we cut ours on a bandsaw, but you could probably cut it with a hacksaw too if you don't have a bandsaw. We did half the gears, or we did half the teeth off, so 18 off, 18 on out of the 36 total gears, and then this is just boxed really well so that we could have a nice thing.
Yeah, we put this extra piece on because we thought the angle was kind of a little bit too shallow, right?
Yeah,
and it hits it more at the right spot, and it just kind of like pops every single time, and it's a great high angle so that when it bounces, it like bounces right.
So that's
and also it can shoot over a lot of robots, which is really nice.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a little slow in our matches because we only had it running off of 1 motor. So if you could, I might make it 2-motor, or I think Hank had an idea.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think I would make it 2-motor and then probably increase the height so that you're making sure you get over their defense spots.
And then the bands, if you twist them up, it lets it go around the gear, which is how we did that. And that lets it have pretty consistent power throughout the motion, which is good.
Yeah.
Maybe depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So the fun part.
I'll talk about the lift.
This is what
this has gone through a few different iterations over the past 3 days. It's kind of crazy how much we've done. Don't worry about the striped zip ties. You don't have to do those unless you're killing your gears like we have. But basically, this is a 1 to 35. This sounds crazy to say out loud. 2 motors. We did have 2 5.5s here to help them, but then we had to change these out for torque 100 RPM, and we didn't want to try to figure out a weird gear ratio to keep the 200, so we just kind of dropped them, and it still worked with us. But it's an 8-bar. And so, we just kind of went to the top, pretty standard up until the top, where Josh created this kind of weird angle piece that he could kind of talk about.
So I designed the claw first. Let's talk about the claw first, and I'll talk about the geometry on the lift that is sort of unique, obviously. No one does that. Okay, so on the claw, we had this 4-bar here so that we could mount the piston over here, but then have it push out all the way over here. So then the 4-bar acts as a way to power this claw, which is in the middle. The reason it pivots in the middle is so that once it's around the pole, the force of gravity, or the torque of the robot on the claw is pulling straight down the middle. Whereas if it were pivoting from over here, that would try to open the claw aggressively whenever your robot is torquing the claw like that. Mm-hmm. And we just used like double stacked C-channels and flex. And then this is how you should hang on the pole. The edge of this metal right here is able to kind of dig into the plastic of the pole, and that lets you stay on somewhat well. All right, so the geometry here took actually a really long time too. So at the very bottom, wait, keep it up at the top. So at the top, you want the claw to be relatively flat toward the goal. So then that'll open, and then you can go around the pole, and it'll be flat. And then when you go to the bottom, the claw is tilted up, right? And so since this is a big, heavy robot, that allows the rest of the robot to be tilted up relative to the goal instead of sagging down.
Yeah.
So originally, obviously, if you watch the documentary or whatever we're making, there was a partner climb thing on the back where you'd have your tray and then they would drive in there. And so you really need your robot to be aggressively tipping them up as you come up with the 8-bar. That didn't end up working out, but this geometry still helped a lot. You can use like a 4-bar calculator online to help you figure out how to make something go from where you want at the bottom to where you want at the top. That's what we did for that.
Another thing I want to mention is that the banding is a little weird on this robot. Normally, in like past games, whenever I made like a lift or something, you want to have the banding to help the robot lift it up. But on this one, the robot would hook onto the top of the goal, and then the lift would try and come down to lift the robot up. So the banding was just straight from the lift down to the base to help it kind of like pull down further, which ended up helping the lift a lot, and the motors actually ended up staying pretty cool, honestly. Another thing I want to mention, you could totally do this with a piston, but we had extra motor, so we just we just decided to have it motorized. But we have this little locking mechanism because at the end of the match, after the match ends, all your motors are going to be set to ghost.
Yeah.
So this locks the lift in place so that it like can't, be relaxed and have you drop down.
I made this in like 5 minutes. It's a standoff with a standoff screw onto the shaft collar.
And like I said, you could totally do that with a piston. Like you do not need to
But
use
it actually works really well because we have it on the motor axle, and so it has the most torque, and so we literally can't lift when it's up.
Yeah.
We can't lift, and we have a 1 to 35. So
let's talk about why there's zip ties all over here. So look, we have 8 gears, which is horrendous. And the reason we had to do that was because whenever we had even 4 gears, so 2 on each side, it would still strip the gears, even with these things in the middle, holding them together, and the bearings and high strength axles on both.
And so it was working. We just had 1 gear, and it was working fine. And then we tried to add
the partner hang.
And as soon as we tried to do that, it kind of broke the robot because of the radius that we were lifting at. And so we kind of had to fix it. This kind of took up most of our 3rd day, and we just pulled these zip ties to keep these 2 together and made the most massive gears possible.
Yeah.
So if you want to climb, I would recommend doing it literally any other way.
Or just don't climb high.
Yeah.
Don't expect to partner climb maybe.
I don't think partner climbing is
Unless you want to waste all of your time.
Again, me and Hank will fly to you and high five you personally if you were able to partner climb and get to the J tier. Wherever your signature event is.
Okay, not anywhere, but maybe most places, especially if 9364 is going to there.
Oh, that would make sense.
I will not fly to you because I don't like traveling. So, I'll send you a virtual high
if you
five.
partner hang with a robot that's heavy, and you partner hang where you are at H and the other team is on I or J. That's kind of the criteria for the
Yeah.
it's
the high
very
five
specific,
criteria.
but we may put it a little bit more in like the description for the criteria.
Yeah, it'll be about 5 paragraphs.
But again, we'll be impressed is the main thing.
Yeah. All right, that's.
Oh, wait. Actually, one last thing. This is a really small thing. But I think it's actually really helpful to have like a little, just kind of like skirt on the back of your robot. Because if you have a tri-ball that's like up against this like middle barrier, you can drive back into it and it'll like kind of push it up and over, which is pretty nice. It's just a nice thing to have. It's not like a huge deal, but it's just kind of nice.
And actually, last thing, Josh wants to show you the way he gets over the barrier.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we didn't have time, or actually we had plenty of time. We just didn't really feel like making sleds. And so instead, what you do is you put the lift out and you go. And it's super consistent. It works every single time.
So instead of doing sleds, make an 8-bar.
Yeah, that makes your robot tippy enough to just tip over,
Cut that out. That's our robot explanation. explanation. Again, we're team Gainz. We unfortunately
Games with a Z.
did not win, but we did have some fun. We did have some fun.
Oh, actually, yeah. No.
And-
Whoa.
Yeah.
So we were originally like planning to use the lifts as like to lift, but it's actually really useful as like a blocker. If other teams are trying to shoot their match loads over, we could just tower above them and no one could like shoot over us.
For example, little El Diablo, which you may see in another video, would shoot their tri-ball kind of at this angle and hit our lift. And then it would bounce back. And that's the explanation of Gainz. It's not, I wouldn't copy it for sure.
But there's
if you
definitely some
do-
concepts you can take.
If
know,
you
like-
do, copy certain parts and not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching.